be your destiny. Like they say, everybody can take this ride. Sometimes you must encourage yourself to live the good life. Everybody wants a good life, yeah, a piece of pie. See, everybody wants the good life, the good life.
Hey, welcome. How are you guys? It's MUSA Jackson, and this is Ambassador Digital Magazine Live. Wow, here we are. Here we are. Take a little breather. I'm so happy. I'm so excited for this show. You guys will be, most of you guys may know her, but she is so very dear to my heart. So I can't wait for the people that don't know her to share her with you. But we'll talk about it in a minute. So we'll introduce her. So I hope you guys had an amazing Thanksgiving. I know we've had just the most, hey Stephen, how are you? The most crazy year. It's been a year of just, where do we start? Some tragedy, some triumph in certain ways. It's been, just so much has happened in this year. So Thanksgiving is that one time where we all try to come together as families and really just be grateful and thankful for what we do have and, what we hope for. And this Thanksgiving had its challenges because a lot of us could not be with our families. So we had to either Zoom or if we were fortunate to be with our families, especially our immediate families, close family, then, you're fortunate. I was one of the fortunate ones that did have my close family, some of them with me during that time. And of course, we're still very much entrenched in this pandemic, entrenched in, everything that's happening in our world. It's not just here in America. Obviously, it's across the globe. And so the idea of Thanksgiving was really, wherever you were, I hope you were able to find something that you could hold and really be grateful for and be thankful for, even if it's just yourself, because you know that there are people that are with you. We're all together in this, and even though as we are nearing, let me just take another break, nearing the end of 4, crazy is not the right word, but I'm gonna be nice, 4 horrible years, let's just use that word. We are coming to the end of that. As we're now in December into January before the inauguration. So, just certain, maybe some good things, hopefully on the horizon. They're trying to get the stimulus, passed. It's not everything, but I think it's, enough to just maybe get us over this little bit of a hump. And then when our President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris take office along with their team. And let's just make sure we get those 2 Senate seats in Georgia. We got to make sure we get those, right, guys? So Georgia, let's go hard so we can get those Senate seats. I know they're trying to go hard and get them because they want to certainly control the Senate, but we can't allow that to happen. So we can at least start to get the things that we need. We definitely have to, this is a time for coming together. This is the time for really seeing who we are as people, as a nation again. I haven't stopped. Sometimes I felt like I stopped, because I'll tell you, this particular time can also be a time of emotional time for a lot of us, especially when you're not with your family or you can't celebrate quite the way that you want to. So it can be emotional, it can be depressing. And there are places and hopefully you can find help, whether it's not through your close friends, but through numbers out there, hotlines, that can help us just ease some of that mental, emotional stress. I think we tend not to pay enough attention to our emotional self-care. And I think that's extremely important at this time. We've been through a lot, and the holidays tend to bring that out in so many ways, you know. So as we head from Thanksgiving into Christmas and New Year's, that we don't forget that. Don't forget to, you know, take care of yourself, and maybe even if you can, take care of someone that you know and love. Okay, so I think that's the perfect segue for me to our guest, because this woman embodies joy. She embodies love. She embodies just, when I think of her, I can't help but smile. I mean, I'm so privileged to call this woman a friend. But beyond the friend, Rebecca Moses is an iconic designer. This woman was one of the first American designers that headed a European fashion house that happened in the 90s with Genny in Italy. She then had her own remarkable brand, Rebecca Moses, which championed, she took cashmere and she just remodeled that and made it even more luxurious than it is for women. Then not only that, okay, on top of that, she's an amazing illustrator. This woman's work has been featured in Marie Claire and Italian Vogue and Vogue Japan, just to name a few. Okay, it's still in demand. I think it's featured this month in Vogue Japan. She has, some of her artwork is just coveted around the world. She's had exhibits here in America as well as in Europe. We'll talk about that. She is a mother to two extraordinary men who I love, Ben and Max. So she's, on top of that, she's a mother. She's a partner to Rick. We're not going to forget you, Rick. She's a daughter. She's a sister. My God, she's a goddess. There it is. You nailed it. She took this pandemic, used her art, and with no surprise to most of us that know her, she was managed to bring women together in sisterhood through her artwork. And we're going to get into that across 7 continents. Let me tell you, I am so happy, so pleased. Please welcome to our show right here at Ambassador Digital Magazine Live, my dear friend, Rebecca Moses.
Hi, my darling.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. The turban queen too, by the way.
Yeah, I was born with a turban.
You're born with a turban. We're gonna get into that.
My mom was a little surprised.
She's like, "Hey, Mom, hey? Oh, your mom." Your mom. Okay, we're gonna get into Miss Barbara. Okay, she's not surprised about much. Okay, because she's had the most colorful people. You've had the most colorful, interesting people around you most of your life, and definitely your grown life. So mom is totally used to it, huh? But Rebecca, anyway, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And, you know, especially after the holidays, I hope you had a good holiday with your, you know, holiday. What was that like for you this past Thanksgiving? You were talking a little bit.
It was very tender and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Small. It was just a few of us, sadly, but I'll take the few that I can get.
Mm-hmm.
We all have to be very careful right now. And, you know, we've come this far. I mean, we just really have to hold on a little bit more. But you know what? I think it put more emphasis on what the holiday really is about, because we won't get into the discussion about Thanksgiving and the pilgrims and all that bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
For me, it's all about really giving thanks, and
Mhm.
thanks to the people that we really don't say it enough to.
Mhm.
And I think that to take thanks in our blessings that we have in our life, because this year has challenged us and it
Mhm.
has made us become very, it's been a pause button that I think when it got down to Thanksgiving and we were still in the situation, we had to really stop and say, you know, we're alive, you
Yeah.
know, maybe it's not where we thought our lives would be, but let's take thanks in what we have and our blessings.
Well, I'm going to say I'm thankful for you. Definitely
And I'm
thankful.
thankful for you.
This is definitely going to be a love fest, guys. And you know what? Let's just do what we do here on Ambassador Digital Magazine Live. And we're going
Spread
to
the
take
love.
spread the love, baby girl. So we're going to talk a lot about, not a little bit, a lot about you. So let's talk about who was the young Rebecca Moses.
Wow.
Yeah. Who are you like, Rebecca? I mean, we've
Maybe you
talked all the
should have
time.
interviewed my mother.
We'll get her version another time, but we're gonna talk to your version. So what were you like as a kid?
I was curious.
Mm-hmm.
I loved, my mother exposed me and my sister to fashion early on,
Mm-hmm.
to old films, to theater, you know. I think that really showed me so much. I loved dance when I was
You love
younger.
dance? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I danced ballet for many years, but then I knew I really wasn't good enough to be
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what I wanted to be. I knew I was very tall for my age, and I didn't have the body of a dancer by the classical terms, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, when I was about 14, I think I was watching the Sonny and Cher show. You know, I love the Sonny and Cher show. And, you know,
Who were you
like
studying there?
what?
Who did you? Because we all had a character. Like you know, some guys were Cher, some women weren't.
I was definitely Cher, not Sonny.
Cher, honey. She was a Cher girl all the way.
But that whole period, you know, what Bob Mackie created, and then you know, people like Diana Ross and the Supremes, and you know, when Diana Ross was in like Mahogany and all these films that really had a major effect.
Right.
You know, watching movies of the 40s and 30s and 50s, and watching the creations of Edith Head, and you know, each era had a magical quality to it, you know, and I just fell in love with fashion, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And at an early age, I went to public school. I was raised in the public school system. And I just started teaching myself how to draw. And at the time, I remember my mom used to get these catalogs from Lord and Taylor's. And at those days, they were illustrated, the catalogs. And I used to study the illustration. So I started like, you know, making my forms and everything. And then when I got to high school, I was very mature for my age. I was not like a typical, you know, 15-year-old girl. I didn't have the same interest. High school was painful for me. I was kind of like freaky, you know, in the sense of my maturity and how I wanted to dress and live. And Europe was so aspirational, I should say, to me. And I went to my principal one day and I just said, I want to graduate early. I want to go study fashion. And he said, well, you have to, you know, double all your majors. And if you can do that, graduate, pass all of them and get accepted to university, then you can go. And I was like, okay. So I did it. And I got accepted to 3 universities. I got accepted to RISD, which is a very super fine art and design school up in Rhode Island School of Design, and Parsons and FIT. And naturally, everybody in those days getting accepted to RISD in those days was like getting accepted to Harvard. And but my life had some problems in it, and I just didn't want to leave New York.
Mhm.
So, and the cost of education was so much more affordable if I chose to go to a state school. So I ended up going to Fashion Institute of Technology,
Mhm.
and it was the best decision I made. It was
Wow.
best because it wasn't like I was, there's so many different types of stages in your life that,
Yeah.
you're not sure what you want to do. You want to go here, but maybe you want to go over here. I knew like fashion, I don't care what I was creating, but I had to go into fashion.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I went to FIT and I studied there for 2 years.
Mhm.
So I got an associate degree. And
Mhm.
then when I was graduating, they instituted the 4-year program. But at that time, I was like aching just to go out and go work.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
idea of work for me is like, it's a privilege to work.
Mhm. Mhm.
I can't
Mhm.
imagine not working,
Right.
Um, and I got a job on 7th Avenue. I started working for Pierre Cardin. It was a
Wow.
coat suit license. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a really
Wow.
crazy job. This gentleman whose family was in the coat and suit business on 7th
Mhm.
Avenue,
Mhm.
the school sent me on the interview and said, well, you know, can you design a coat and suit? And I was like, of course, here's my portfolio. And I opened my portfolio and he said, okay, I'll hire you. And your job is going to be to design this coat and suit collection called Pierre Cardin. I was
Oh,
like, oh, okay, cool.
oh,
I was 18
oh,
years old. I mean, I was like a pisher, and
incredible.
my first assignment was to go to
Mhm.
Paris.
Oh my God. You were 18 when you went? Or you not?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
I went with them, the husband and the wife. They were like
mm.
my,
It's like some
there's no
chaperone.
way you could go on your own. You're only
Right.
18 years
Of
old.
course. Of course.
And I went to Paris with them. We stayed at the Ritz Hotel. I mean, now
Oh,
you have
how
to understand,
yummy.
here I am, like,
Oh,
remember Love in the Afternoon, Audrey
oh,
Hepburn,
yeah.
movies that took place in the Ritz Hotel. For me, it was like, oh my God, I could hear fascination in my mind,
Fabulous.
So I met Monsieur Cardin. I had an incredible, it was the haute couture.
Mm,
So
mm.
it was a privilege to go to the haute couture. In those days, it wasn't just nouveau riche money. It was people that were like kings and queens and,
Right.
really royalty and zillionaires. And it was
Mhm.
so different. And I made my whole outfit and it was a moment. And I stayed with the company for a few years.
Mhm.
And then I had this crazy idea to start my own company. And
Okay.
yeah.
What
And
year,
I started,
what year was that, Rebecca, when you
that
started
was
your
like
own?
1981.
Oh my
1981.
God.
Same time, like Michael Kors
Mm.
just started his company. And Michael and I were so funny. We used to go to fabric appointments together because we couldn't afford the minimum. So if we bought together, we could, I'll get the gray, you'll get the black.
Right. Let's split it.
It was a great time. It was an
Right.
amazing time. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're that young and you're that inexperienced, you're on the bottom, so you
Yeah.
have nowhere to fall. So you don't
Right.
have fear in you yet. You
Yeah.
haven't been burned. You haven't been
Right.
fried. You haven't
Right.
been, attacked. You're
Right.
just like,
Everything is.
I'm gonna go and do this.
Yeah. You're not jaded or any of that. Life is
Oh
just
no.
like, it's just an adventure. And so
Oh,
now
yeah.
you have, mhm. So you
Go
did
ahead.
you started your Rebecca Moses line, right? And how did that, so how long did you do that?
Well, I had my brand on and off, and
Hmm.
I say that with dignity, pride, and embarrassment.
No,
But
no embarrassment here.
there
I think it's
was
an
no
accomplishment.
way. I mean, nobody could. I mean,
Mhm.
no one could prepare you for what you would find down the road. Like
Absolutely.
the idea of designing, like you had to deal with unions and crooked
Mhm.
partners and dishonesty and, like stores that wouldn't pay their bills. And I mean, I could write just
Mhm.
16 books just on
Yeah.
the early years.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
Right.
And at a certain point, I'd gone through a lot of challenges,
Mhm.
but the press was, oh my God, no, that's Italy. Oh, that's an Italian clip.
That's an
That's
Italian
from,
clip.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's from Italy from 1990, probably 99. Yeah.
And it's look at that. Look at that, Rebecca.
Yeah. I mean,
I love how you design. We're gonna get into that a little. We're gonna go into that stage
okay.
a little bit later because anyone watching this clip right now, I'm looking at these pieces and we could easily be rocking this right now. So
Oh,
you have
totally.
that
Totally.
timeless way of
Totally.
really kind of capturing something and it just becomes a part of your collection, your
Oh,
wardrobe.
yeah,
You
just
can't go away.
imagine
You
those
can't.
clothes are,
I love it.
those were like all cashmere sweaters, like 6-ply,
Scrumptious.
like just beautifully hand knitted with, I mean, just
Yeah.
crazy clothes.
Crazy.
But when I was here, I got to a point in my life where I had gotten married. My marriage failed,
Mhm.
and the business was just so challenging. I mean, I
Right.
got great press. The press loved me, and I love the press, and I love the business. But the challenge of surviving as a small independent designer was so much. It was so great. I mean, it
Yeah.
was excruciating.
Right.
And unless you had a strong financial arm and a business, you know, I always say that, you know, the hardest thing in life is to find a good business partner,
Mhm.
and a business partner to find a good designer. And
Right.
it's very, very hard if there's not mutual respect between
Right.
the two parties.
Right.
And I was never blessed to have found that here.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so to fast forward,
Mhm.
I met Giacomo Festa, who was Giacomo Festa Bianchette. He was my next husband. And
Mhm.
he was, I was doing business with him, but I didn't even know it. And I'd met him, and, you know, he was having his own problems at the time personally, and we fell in love. And I decided with him, I was like, what are we going to do? You know, can you move to New York? And he said, well, I can't move to New York. I have an old family business that I have to manage. And what about you? And I was like, well, I have a business. I mean, it's not doing very well financially, but he said, well, why don't you come live in Italy? And I was like, move to Italy. I was like, wow. And I think
I love the wow part. You're like wow.
wow. Like, but you know, I had been put through so many challenges at such a young age, and I felt like I had to take a risk. I had to listen to my heart, and what's the worst thing that could happen? Like, you know, if I was going to find out if we had a real relationship, I couldn't do it with an ocean between us. And I didn't know. And I literally went to Italy with absolutely no plan. I did not speak a word of Italian, even though I worked in Italy. I was, you know, blah, 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 you know, kind of a thing. And so I got to Italy, and I was there for a year where I was really just kind of learning how to live there. And, you know, it's very different when you visit a country as opposed to live in a country. And, and one day, a very dear friend of mine, Joyce Ma, who owned the Joyce stores in Asia, came up to the house, and I had my, you know, I paint as an artist, whether a fashion designer or an artist, for me, I need the discipline of working every day. I need to sketch. I need to create. It's kind of like going to the gym. If you don't do it regularly, you just don't get into it, you know? So for me, my art, I need the creative process to it's like the wheels have to keep moving. And she'd come up, and I was cooking lunch, and she saw all my sketches that were in my studio, and she just took them. And she went down to Milan the following day, and she brought them to a woman named Donatella Giambelli, who was the owner of Gruppo Genny, which owned the brand Genny, Biblos, and Complice. In those days, Complice was designed by Dolce & Gabbana, and Biblos was designed by two English designers, Keith and Alan. And Versace was designing Genny for 18 years. But it was 1991. There was a huge change going on. You know, we'd come out of the aggressive 80s, and Donatella needed to change her company. And her company was very big. It was, you know, it was like a $400 million business in those days, which in those days was huge business in fashion. You have to remember, there was no Louis Vuitton group backing designers. Fashion was not global. It was very, you know, Italian fashion was Italian, French fashion was French, American was American. You didn't have the bleeding over of different cultures. And I got a phone call the following day saying Donatella would like to meet you in her office in Milano. So I go down, and, you know, I was a bit naive, I'd say. Oh my God.
Right.
Hi, Rebecca. Oh my God. Wow, what a picture.
Yes.
Oh my God. Anyway, I go down, and she said, you know, I see your sketches and I get very emotional, and I feel something that I feel is the future.
Right.
Like, wow, that's a huge compliment. Thank you. And she said, well, I'd like you to look at the Genny collection and tell me what you think. And, you know, I went down, and I was like I couldn't be more night and day. You know, it was really night and day for me. And I said, well, Donatella, it's so different from who I am as a designer. Right. Are you sure that I'm the right choice? I mean, here I am, like, shut up, Rebecca, you know, are you sure I'm the right pick for you? And she said, I want to change. I want to change the brand. What I'd like to offer you first is a capsule collection to do, and then we'll talk. So I did a small capsule collection. And then, like 2 months later, she says, okay, I want you to take over the complete Genny collection. And I was like,
wow. That's so major. You were so young.
I was so young. I
mean, you're young. You're like you said, you're an American in Italy, and here you are taking over a major brand. Like,
oh yeah, it was a big deal. And actually, she had revealed it to this very big magazine in Italy. I only found out the day it came out. She had talked about me in this magazine called Panorama. Panorama is like the Newsweek in Italy. Okay. And I remember, you know, someone said, Rebecca, did you see, there's an article on you in Panorama? I said, are you joking? I was like, what the hell? You know, it was so crazy. And anyway, my life changed. Literally, it was an earthquake in my life. First of all, to be able to work at a level of craftsmanship and resources like that. I mean, I never had that. I was always saying, like when I would do a show in New York, you know, I'd say, okay, like Naomi, she was like 15 then. And I'd say, okay, Naomi, this shoe you pass to Frauke, and Frauke, can you pass this on to, you know,
right.
You know, it was like
these smaller, right. These like smaller shows. Wow. Wow.
We didn't talk about each model having one pair of shoes. They had to throw them at each other.
Right. Their own dressers and all the chaos of anyone that's been backstage in one of these big shows. I've worked them, and it's just it's a complete production. And you never
don't forget also in those days, you know, you would have changes. Like now they have one model per look. I was like, you know, in the old days we would have like each girl would have 5 or 6 looks. Right. And you'd be backstage, throw me the flash from the first look. No, not that one.
The chaos.
Who could tell the story here is Audrey Smaltz. Audrey Smaltz could tell the real backstage story.
And we're going to get her on. But
you gotta get her on.
But you know what I love about what you also did at Genny, which was really amazing. I don't know a lot of people that know this, but you also really championed diversity on the runway. You mentioned Naomi. at your collection and those kind of things, you know, and we talk about that a lot, you know, in fashion, they've gone through, you know, just recently, they kind of been outed as not necessarily being the most diverse situation. They did have a huge, back in the 70s and the 80s, right after Versailles or whatever, they did have a lot of Black female models on the runway, and they were in the collections from, you know, especially in Paris. But you did something else, and you actually introduced fashion to you know, another look that had not really happened, and that's the great Alec Wek.
Oh yeah, Alec
Let's
was
talk
amazing.
about that. Yeah, because that was another moment. That was a huge.
Even when I was in New York, for me, I always loved a non-typical classic beauty. I always loved girls that were unique, that knew how to wear clothes. You know, it's not enough to be beautiful. When you walk on a runway, when you wear clothes, you have to own it, and you have to have a look. So for me, I was always much more attracted to, let's say, like the Beth Ann agency, let's say the Zoli agency, rather than the Eileen Ford agency.
Right.
It was just who I was. You know, I would love to find a beautiful Indian girl and a beautiful Japanese girl and beautiful girls from the islands and from Africa and wherever they came from. I didn't care. They just had to have a look. Yeah, you wanted, it's not enough. Clothes have to become animated. You need beauty, you need stature, you need an attitude. And I could only get that from girls that were not necessarily cover girls. Okay. I mean, Naomi made it to the covers, but a lot of the girls that I used didn't always make it to the covers. But they had that je ne sais pas. I don't know how to say it, you know?
Right.
It's just that
intangible thing.
Yeah, you need a look. And you know, my motto in life is all about imperfectly perfect. You know, you know, I don't want somebody with like what I want somebody undefinable, you know, somebody who has, you know, they put that clothes on and whoever they are, even if they have like a macho walk, I don't care, but own it.
Own it, yeah.
Give me something that's going to show that those clothes are just, you're not a hanger. You have to bring something to the performance, because it is, if you're going to do a fashion show or you're going to put an advertising campaign, you need that personality. It's not just, you know, you need the wow, you know, and uniqueness. The uniqueness of being is so important to me.
Interesting that you mentioned the wow and the uniqueness. A good friend of ours, who you happen to know pretty much before anybody, who is still bringing her uniqueness and wow, is Deborah Shaw.
Of course.
And that's a unique story that maybe people don't know, but that's another one of the, you know, people that you championed and, you know.
Deborah came up on an interview when I had my collection in New York, and she came up from a temp agency, and she was coming up to be my assistant.
Did you hear that, guys? She was an assistant. Okay.
An assistant to me. And she walked in, and I was like, oh my God, she's so gorgeous. You know, I mean, she was so lanky and yet so, you know, very, very, you know, just so.
I know.
I can't even find the right words. And
I know, it's hard.
And she was between answering the phones, getting messages, doing this, doing that. Then I said to her, I want you to be in the show this season. And that was her first show. Wow. And it was the Sherlock Holmes collection, which was the first collection I did, the last collection I did in my own business here in New York. And I remember, you know, some of the people said, how can you put her in the show? She's never been on a run. I said, this girl can do it. This girl's got it. I don't even got it.
That's saying it mildly. She got it.
She got it. You know, she got the gift.
Yeah, totally got the gift. Yeah. I love that story because, you know, like you mentioned, we mentioning Alec Wek, unconventional beauty, as well as, you know, Deborah Shaw, even Naomi, all these incredible, and they're all still so fierce. like they, you know, in their own right. Like they're not like they didn't wear like flash in the pans. And they had this sort of thing, and they were like cute for that moment. They embodied something that was indescribable,
Yes.
but it's so right.
Oh,
And
so right.
so just dead on.
So
And
right.
you know, and I loved it about you. You know, so now here you are. You know, you've had Genny, and now you're moving in. Did you move back into your own thing after that, or how did
So
that?
I was with Genny, and
Mhm.
I was doing all the collections. It was a huge job, and it gave me the financial liberty to really start a small collection of my own. But my whole idea was really to do something super tiny,
Okay.
super precious, super
Right,
luxurious,
your
super
capsule collection, right?
exclusive, you know.
Mhm.
And I wanted to do cashmere because, you know, where I lived in Italy was cashmere country. It was a textile region of Italy, which is right, was a little valley from the Mount Rosa, which is the second largest mountain in Europe. And the industry was built there because of the water that would come down. And my husband was a spinner. All the families around there were spinners and weavers, and they worked in the finest of wool and cashmere. And so what happened was I decided I'd do a small collection of cashmere, and I would just, you know, sell it to maybe just a few stores. And Dawn Mello had left Gucci. I don't know if you remember, Dawn was originally the one who changed the house of Gucci with Richard Lambertson.
Right.
And then Richard decided to go back to New York. Tom Ford became the designer, the creative director under Dawn. And then Dawn ended up leaving and going back to New York to go back to Bergdorf Goodman. And but Dawn and I were very close friends. She knew me since the beginning of my career. And I said, you know, I'm working on this, you know, this you know, idea. It's like, I want to show cashmere in a new way, blah, 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 you know, crazy ideas. And she says, okay, show me what you have. Don't worry. I want to see it. And then finally, when I got to the point where I could really show her more, she said, I want this exclusive in New York. You'll have a boutique at Bergdorf Goodman. I was like, huh? You know, and you know, I'm never very, I'm always shocked when I do certain things and there's certain reactions. And then what happened was we opened up in New York. Franca Sozzani, my press agent in Milano, Roberta Chappi, she brought me to Franca Sozzani's office. Franca is the legendary late editor of Italian Vogue, one of the most brilliant fashion editors. And I showed her my sketches, and she said, well, you have to show at the Nilafar gallery. I'll call Nina. Nina was really on just breaking out. Nina's a very legendary woman in the interior design, very high-end home decor. And she introduced me to Nina, and I put my collection in her gallery. And we ended up opening 70 stores that week. But like 70 like dream stores, like stores from like the best store in Zurich, the best store in Milan, the best store in Rome, the best store. And I only wanted to sell one store per city because I wanted to keep the product very precious. Anyway, it was a hit, and I kept that company alive for about 8 years. And then I made the big mistake of having partners, and, you know, partners are hard to find the right ones. And, you know, the problem with so many designers, I think when they take on partners, the DNA gets changed. And as soon as you change the DNA of a brand, you lose the quintessential reason for being. And so, and that was about 2005. And I was asked to creatively direct a brand called Pineider, which was a full lifestyle business. And that was an incredible opportunity for me to really create work in areas that I never really had a chance to work in. So I was creating product all over Italy to make this real full lifestyle store. And then from one thing to another, I just had my design studio. I didn't have my brand anymore. I finished with Genny, and I was just consulting for companies in Italy, which is a very normal way of European designers to work. You have different brands, you consult with them. I would consult on color. I would consult on, you know, rechanging a branding concept or whatnot. And then as time went on, I was working on a book. I had an idea for a book that I wanted to write about style.
Okay.
And it was a very particular concept for a book. And I illustrated the whole book. And the book was published in 2010 by
Life of Style.
It was published by Monticelli Press, which was then owned by Random House, and it was called A Life of Style. And I wanted to do a book that was very inspirational, humorous, but very clear about the concept of what style is. And I think that so many people think style is fashion. And what I basically say in this book, that fashion is a tool of style, but what style is your voice. It's how you tell the world who you are, and how you dress, how you live, how you entertain. And I'm seeing so many wonderful people popping up on the screen.
I know. I want to jump in, and I want to maybe hold it. Give me 30 seconds to say hi to people. Thank you, Duke. Thank you. Your sweet, beautiful sister, Deborah. We're going to talk about her. Deborah Moses.
Yes.
I see Billy. Stephen Rice is here. I saw Farrah pop up. Leon.
Michelle Spiro. She's fabulous.
Fabulous, right? We got fabulous. We got Carolyn Crook. We got Carla. And you talk about style, and we just gotta give her an ode, a little love to your, two very special people in your life, other than your children, because we'll talk about them, right? Is your mom and your sister. I'm so blessed to call them like you guys are my family as well. So your mom, I love some Barbara.
Yeah.
I love me some Barbara. Deborah
is our hero.
Yeah.
She is a legend upon herself. My mom worked with me. My mom worked with me while I was a designer in New York. She ran my office. She was an amazing lady to be with and work with. My sister always works with me. Deborah is an amazing creative director, art director. She really, that's my mom and me. How'd you get that picture?
We find our ways, we find our ways. Oh, thank you, Carolyn. I love your mom. By the way, your mom is so friggin' funny.
Well, she said, there's no shocking Barbara, MUSA,
Okay.
There's no shocking Barbara.
There's none. There's no shocking her. There's no shocking her at all, or your sister for that matter, Deborah.
She's a cool lady. And my sister is just an amazing creative mind.
One of the most creative women.
I trust her eye so much. I mean, she has worked on my books. Brilliant. She's worked on my shows. And then there's Freddie Liba. Also.
Okay, no, I'm going on a list. Wait a minute.
I'm jumping the list.
There's homework.
My sister and my mom are amazing, and they've always been like my older girls.
Let's go, Freddie.
Okay.
Freddie, come on.
So while I was working at Genny, I wanted to bring in a stylist. There's my sister and me.
Deborah.
Love you. Hey,
love you, Catherine. We love you too. Okay.
Keep going. Farrah. Anyway, I decided.
Hey.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Love her.
Okay, so tell us about Freddie.
So I called my sister and I said, I really want someone to come work on the show with me here at Genny. Because, it was very challenging sometimes, because when you work in a house, you really want to get sometimes an outside, vision. Like, you don't want to get too in love with something. You don't want to get too jaded by something. And sometimes when you get another pair of eyes from another part of the world to come in and look, you can feed off of each other. You can influence each other. You can lift each other. You can inspire each other. And I needed that. And Donatella was good about it. And I thought it was a healthy thing for her too. So my sister said, you have to work with Freddie. I was like, great. So Freddie would come over to Europe like every few months. Oh, there's Freddie. I love Freddie.
I know, we love Freddie.
My Freddie. I love him. He's such a gift.
He's such a
Anyway.
gift. The most brilliant man. Gosh. Deborah.
Oh, Deborah.
Deborah said hi. And Epperson said hi too.
Darling Deborah. Hello, darling.
Yeah. And Judith, I see you too, girl.
So I just decided that it was such a gift having Freddie on board, and he understood what made me tick. Hey, Crystal. And he would come over every few months, like every 2 or 3 months, and we'd sit and work together, and then he'd go back, and then he'd come back, and then we would style out the show together. And we have so many fond and crazy memories. I mean, just the whole, it was 5 remarkable years of, it was a revolution going on in Europe because the world was going global. I mean, the world really changed in those 5 years. Right. And, witnessing and being a part of it was something. When I look back now, I was like, God, how lucky was I, to have been a part of that whole, revolution in our industry. It was a revolution, and, everything changed. And it was just a remarkable time. I mean,
well, you're part of the change, Rebecca. You're part of the change. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but we're talking about what's happening.
I'm having that clicking sound.
Are you having a clicking sound? Can you hear me though? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I hear you?
Can you hear me? I don't hear it.
It's like that clicky.
Is it still there? Okay. But you can hear my question, right? Can you hear what I'm saying? You can't. You can hear me? Can you hear me, Rebecca?
It's like clicky.
So you can't hear what I'm saying? Can you hear me?
You want to talk again?
Yes. Can you hear me, Rebecca?
No, I'm not here. It's like clickety clack.
It's clickety clack. Okay, I don't know what's happening. Hold on a second. Maybe.
Oh, there it's good.
Okay, good.
That's
okay.
Good. That's good.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. Let's go. Let's run. So I'll take it. So you're part of that change, and and fashion has changed. What's one of the major things that you see with fashion in terms of that change that's so different than those days? As we adapt to this new way of being, what would you say it's either lacking or we've gained? We can talk about the pros and cons of it. The industry.
Think that there's been good and bad. And there's Nicole, another one of my lovies.
We love you.
Love you, Nicole. You know what it is? I think that we went from being independent houses to acquired houses. And maybe, I decided not to go the acquired route. Okay. I don't know if that was a good decision or a bad decision. Maybe I would have been a billionaire, but I didn't want to become a homogenized brand. I didn't want to become, a horse in a stable. And that was my instinct. And maybe if I did, I would not be living in a tiny apartment today. Maybe I'd be living in a castle, but I have to know that what I'm doing, I feel that it's a respected relationship, and that I know what I'm doing is organically correct. And today, the problem is that most designers have sold their brands.
Mm.
There's a few that still own it, but many have sold them and they've become mega brands.
Mm.
And I think that, COVID has kind of put a halt to so much in our business. But a lot of the things they put a halt to was ready to fall off the mountain already.
Mm.
I think that retailers were in very unhealthy business situations. Designers were creating way too much product that wasn't needed. Designers were burning out. I mean, you can't design eight collections a year.
Mhm.
You can't, I don't know where the stores even sell the merchandise to. So it became very promotional. And now you see that we're in a terrible crisis position in our industry. Publishing has collapsed. I mean, everything related to fashion has gone into a very serious emergency, disaster situation.
Yeah.
So you have some small brands that are really trying to say something, but they have to be really small right now in order to keep their voice and try to stay with their nose out of the water.
Mhm.
It's impossible just to start a business today. That's a sweet picture of
Yeah.
Vera
Yeah.
Wang, Bonnie Gokson from Hong Kong, and
Those
myself.
are your buddies, Vera Wang and Bonnie Goss.
Yeah,
We love you
love them.
guys. Sending you
Yeah.
love. I don't want to. I'm seeing our time, but I want to just talk about something. We talk about the times we're living in, and we touched on that. I'm glad we were able to discuss that where we are. But we're also living in times, and for artists, when things happen like this, we tend to go in.
Yes.
And somehow, and creating is the way that we survive, is the
Yes.
way that it's like our oxygen. I know it's like your oxygen for you. So during COVID moment, you were able to create that.
Yes.
Stay Home Sisters.
Yes.
Tell us about the birth
Okay.
of Stay Home Sisters.
Okay, just a fast pass. So
Okay.
in 2010, my book came out, and my husband, my wonderful husband of 20 years, got very bad cancer and passed away within 6 months. And it was a very big turning point in my life and for my children, who were only 9 and 12 at the time. And I decided to return to New York. I decided to return to New York because I really wasn't sure what to do with my life. And I wanted to create a safe environment for my children. Not that it wasn't safe in Europe. It was just I wanted them not to be depressed and sad. And I figured, let's go to New York. We'll live 1 year at a time and see how we feel there. So we got to New York, and I decided to cultivate my art. Franca Sozzani again came to my advice, and she said, Rebecca, start working on stories. We'll do stories in Italian Vogue. We'll do stories. You'll take it and rebuild your life in a slow, new way. Okay. So I started illustrating, painting, and in the last 10 years, I've had about 6 or 7 shows, both here in New York, California, Miami, and Milano, and in Japan. And in last year, I was working on a project for the fragrance industry. Linda Levy came to me and asked me to do a great project. And I did like 6 paintings for her, for the industry, celebrating the notes of fragrance. We were supposed to launch it in March, and COVID hit. So the work of a year basically never really happened the way it was supposed to happen. And I was sitting in my apartment. For that month of February, I was still so much in contact with my family and friends in Europe, and they were telling me about COVID, and I was really getting worried. And everybody was looking more from Asia to the West Coast, but nobody was really looking at New York. And I started really getting in a panic and went into firewoman mode. Started getting the groceries, started getting the family set up and the whole thing. And I was really frightened. I have 2 children I have to get through university. I've got You know, I'm still a struggling artist,
Mhm.
and I was saying, shit, what am I going to do? I was working on 2 books. They went on the shelf. I couldn't have another exhibit because there were nobody's having any live experiences. I really didn't know where the money would be coming in from. And yet at the same time, you couldn't even think about it because life was just getting so frightening. You couldn't even think about that.
Right.
So I started painting women just out of my imagination about a woman watching CNN, eating popcorn, drinking wine, getting more and more nervous, but it wasn't fulfilling. So I decided one day to go on Instagram and say to women, why don't you guys write me a letter, share with me what you're going through, and in exchange, I'll do a portrait of you. And by doing a portrait of you, we will document our time together. And then the women started reaching out to each other. And before you knew it, we had a sisterhood. And women from all over the world were the Stay Home Sisters now are in 6 continents, like 24 countries, about 80 cities. Every race, religion, socioeconomic background, every career. We have detectives, we have artists, we have painters, we have dancers, we have singers, we have students, we have senior citizens, we have Holocaust survivors, we have youth activists, we have, you name it. I mean, just the most remarkable group of women, and they all connected. They all connected with each other, and we are 374 strong right now.
That's my
And
daughter.
I have never imagined something like this happening. And I have to say that probably my biggest thanks during Thanksgiving was thanking them for saving me, because they saved me. They saved me on a creative level. They saved me on a human level. They gave me hope. They gave me belief that together we are so much stronger. We have so much more in common than what separates us. And that probably is the biggest silver lining that I can say that's happened this year.
Well, Rebecca, I can't speak for the women. I'm seeing a lot of women on this feed, and there's Michelle, Casey. I want to also say hi to Mikkel, who came on earlier. And Deborah, I see her. I can't speak for the women. They're speaking for themselves, and even though they gave you so much, I can probably say it's likewise. The feeling is definitely mutual, because to do what you did in connecting these women, it's something that is a special thing that happens. I always see this happen amongst women. Here's a beautiful woman.
So wonderful. I know, dressed for dinner.
And dressed for dinner. And how women that didn't know each other are now bonded. And I love the turbans. You had a turban
contest. Yes,
turban
it was
contest,
so much fun.
which you did because that's part of your brand and part of who you are, which another connection to the women. And that's just to me reflective of who you are as a person, Rebecca. You are, remarkable. You bring people together. I'm so blessed to say I can share you. I've shared you with my friends, with my family, with Harlem, and they just love some Rebecca, honey. Okay,
Yeah.
and
It's a mutual love affair.
And as well as I want to give a huge shout out to Rick.
Hey, Ricky.
Rick Johnson, who is
my strength here behind me.
I love, it's when we talk about fairy tales, or life tales, forget fairy, life tales, right? That you had one of the loves who gave you 2 amazing sons, Giacomo, Ben, and Max, and that here you are with an amazing man. There he is, Rick. We met him, fell in love with him. You felt, we got to share him with you, Rebecca. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta share him with
you guys.
He's like a big brother to us, big brother to me, and I love him dearly. And his sons, which is awesome.
They are.
You create, that's what you do, a menagerie of love. You bring people together in a way that I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the work that you've done, because it's just, oh my God, it's typical Rebecca. It is that
There's
you
my
would bring.
family. There's
That's
my
a beautiful family,
family.
guys. And so, with that said, I want to say to you now, I could go on and on and on and talking to you about everybody. I think we covered, everybody pretty much, which is great. And your career, this phenomenal career. You got a book, honey. You got, I know you do illustrations, but you're like a movie. Could do a weekly series on you. On
Who do you
Rebecca.
want to have play you?
Oh, I know. I got to think about that. Huh. Okay. And there's Fern. This is at one of your. I'm
Fern
going
and
to
Charlotte Neuville, yeah.
Now we'll go very, very quickly. I know I'm moving fast, guys.
Okay.
But that was an exhibit that Ralph Pucci
Yes.
International, who we
My galleries in
adore.
New York, in California, and Miami.
I adore Mr. Pucci and the Pucci family.
He's amazing, Ralph and his family. They're amazing.
So supportive of you,
Amazing
so
people.
supportive
I'm so blessed.
of artists. I want to say one thing before we do the last thing, which is the cover, because we're going to bring on your cover.
Mhm.
Don't bring it on yet, Paul. Not
Oh,
yet, Paul. Paul's trigger happy. Say one thing, Rebecca, to artists, designers. No, not yet, Paul. He's going to do it. Okay, Melba.
That's
There's Melba.
Melba.
You can show Melba. You can show Melba, Paul. But while we talk to,
Love
while we,
Melba.
we have a little bit of time. While we talk to the artists, the creatives, and hear a word from the iconic Rebecca about what you might offer them now.
I would say, MUSA, the most important thing is to keep the faith, believe in who you are, believe in your ability to grow, develop, change. Don't lock yourselves in on any set roads, and be humble. Humbleness will save you.
Humbleness will save you. Okay. And love?
Love's the answer.
Love is the answer, right? Well,
And let's also just say, I'm a God-fearing girl. So for me, I talk to God every day, and he gives me the strength. And, my sister always tells me, be careful what you wish for. And she's so right in saying that. And I always say to God, I know you got a plan. I don't know what the plan is, but I know you got a plan. I'm going to put my faith in you. And that's who I am. That's
what's up. You're amazing. We see you all. I went Peter Mercier. I see you.
Yes. Hi, Peter. That's Rick's cousin from LA. Hi, Peter.
Nikki Nichelle. I saw you. Leon Johnson. To Carla. Farrah, I see you again. And Crystal and KC and Carolyn. We see you all. Michelle Spiro. We see you. We definitely see you. Of course, Deborah, your mom. Barbara, I'm going to say a big, shout out to Vera and Bonnie and Nicole and Freddie.
Del Rey. Hi, Nichelle, one of my stay-home sisters.
Judith.
Hey,
Judith, thank you. I want to say a special shout out to my crew. I want to say a special shout out to Paul, my creative director, co-partner and ambassador of Digital Magazine. I want to say a special shout out to Stephen Rice, who did the hair and makeup. Who works with us all the time. He loves you to pieces. And then I want to say I got a special someone here with me who was being very patient. I said, you better be very quiet because you're not going to mess with my interview here, is Courtney Douglas, the photographer.
Hey, Courtney, where are
so
you?
He's here. He's going to say a little shout out. But Paul, we always do a little drum roll. Are we ready to see this cover? Here we go. Here you go.
Oh my God. Is that me?
That is you, babe.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh my God. It's so amazing. Courtney, where are you?
He said, "Hey, Miss Rebecca, here he is."
You're amazing, Courtney. I love you, Eddie. That is an amazing photograph.
Thank you.
Amazing. I'm without words. Without words. And I'm so honored. And I just want to say one thing to you, MUSA. What you and your team have created this year is an example of passion, of vision, and of never saying, I can't. And you guys pulled together so much really visionary work in a time when most big magazines couldn't do it.
Thank you.
I just want to say I'm honored to be on this magazine. The people you have covered, all of them, I have the utmost respect for. And I would just say anyone who's asked to be on the cover should be greatly honored. And just keep this vision going, because you really have created some great, great, great work. And you should be very proud, each and every one of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You look incredible. I love this photograph. Oh, your eyes.
Thank you.
Oh, your eyes. And just, it's Rebecca. It's
Thank
so
you.
new. It's
Thank
so
you.
stylish. And it's just, it's just stunning. I could look at it all day. And you know what I love about it? We called it, Rebecca Moses, the art of being.
Oh, that is like, I'm beyond. I don't even know what to say. I could just
It
cry.
And I think anybody, and I just want to say anybody that knows you, and I'm so glad we have these type of programs, because they get to know more of you. And it's so important to have, I just want to say anybody out there, it's so important to have people like Rebecca in your life, because this world can be a very harsh, negative, sometimes negative place. Thank you, Myron. Good to see you. Negative place. And when you have positive people in your life, anything's possible. You know, I will say this, Ambassador Digital Magazine is possible because of you, because of people like you, because you're so positive. And I have to share the positivity. And that's what you've done with Stay Home Sister, is that you're sharing the positivity. It's one energy. We're one energy of love. You know, thank you, Casey, who's another cover star. Yes, Crystal. And I love this shot. It's just, it's just you.
So
It's
honored.
powerful. You own it. And you know, this is, you know, we wanted to capture, and I'll let you know what, Courtney, I'll let you talk a little bit.
Oh,
Tell us what you felt. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Good evening, everybody. So, good evening, Miss Rebecca, once again. So I just want to say, although everyone was socially distancing themselves at this time, I'm just glad that, you know, I was able to capture your essence in real time and not like a digital photo shoot through like the web, you know, like webcamming.
Yes.
So when MUSA brought this to my attention, he said that he wanted me to come and photograph you. I didn't know what I was, you know, what was coming towards my way, like energy-wise, you know. But being there, like, you have a gravitational pull. Like everything was just perfect. Even Nina Simone playing in the background, and I love
God
you.
bless our Nina Simone, right?
Yeah, like I love your spirit, and I'm glad that, you know, this was able to happen. And if MUSA wishes to orchestrate any other symphonies, I'll be there, and we can do this all again. Okay, it was a pleasure capturing your essence, and I'm a little nervous. I never get nervous.
He never gets nervous.
I'm
You know,
nervous.
I have to tell you something, that when we were doing that shoot, it reminded me, and I generally don't look back in time, but it reminded me of the wonderful energy we used to have when I was in my early 20s, and all my friends who ended up becoming superstar photographers, makeup artists, hairdressers, we were all just starting out. And that feeling that, you know, you do it because you want to do it. It's passion. You know, you want to show the clothes, you want to show the makeup, you want to show the hair, you want to, and you don't have big teams. You don't have, you know, you're just like, you know, you're all just doing it yourself, you know, and when you do it yourself, you got ownership, and it's like, yeah, I can do 3 jobs. I can hold the light, and yeah, the makeup artist is doing, you know, the backup light and the makeup, and that is the magic of when things get really real. And I just, that's what I felt when we were doing that photo shoot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is the essence of what I love doing. Is I never forgot my origin. I never forgot, you know, those early 80s beginning with, honestly, with the young Mario Testino.
Oh,
you know, right, you know, when they were just starting and I was just starting, or, you know, Keith Haring's and, you know, In the Village or Soho. So that's something that I want to bring always to my sets, is giving people, those people who really nurtured me. You were one of those people who nurtured me. You know what I'm saying? Freddie Liba nurtured. So I just want to always kind of,
those are passion
intimate. It's old, old school. It's just so intimate. And that will always, when you come with one of our catchphrases is live your life with passion. It will always, and live your life with purpose. It will always translate if you just keep that at the base of whatever you do. Yeah. So with that said, I thank you so much.
Honored. I am beyond. I love you guys, and I
love you beyond. Barbara, it's fabulous to cover into the Barbara. We love you, it's Mama.
You'll meet Mama.
Yeah, we love her so much. Oh my God, I can't take it. I want to grab her. But anyway, I just want to say the time has come. I want to thank everyone for joining us for this incredible interview with you, Rebecca. Keep doing what you're doing. Your exhibit, can we just shout that out? Is it still happening at Mount Sinai?
Yeah. Next week you can go up and see it. Okay.
You can go up and see it. Okay.
Secret.
Okay, we can talk about that. All right, got it.
Okay.
So, all right.
Oh, darling.
So, okay. Anyway, listen, guys, you will see more of her, and if you see me, you see her. All right.
Okay.
Anyway, I love you much, and enjoy. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you so much to Ambassador Digital Magazine Live. Once again, I love my crew. I love you guys, and go in love. Mwah.